The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. Faith in a holy cause is to a considerable extent a substitute for the lost faith in ourselves. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn. This is the place where we bring you the best book recommendations when it comes to philosophy, psychology, human nature and human potential. And today we're taking a look at The True Believer, where philosopher Eric Hoffer tries to make sense out of the mass movement that so much characterized the 20th century. Maybe our willingness to join a mass movement comes from our longing to escape individual freedom, or, as in the words of the zealous young Nazi, to escape from freedom. Freedom comes with a lot of drawbacks for people who are not well equipped to face life's challenges or the competition of a free society. Freedom of choice places all the blame of failure on the shoulder of the individual, and as, quote, freedom encourages a multiplicity of attempts, aka we have to fail several times in order to get the skills and experiences we need, it inevitably multiplies frustration and failure throughout society. And if you don't have the talents to make something of yourself or are well adapted to face the harshness of life, freedom can become a vexing burden. By joining a mass movement, you can hide your shortcomings, real or imaginary, and lose yourself in the anonymity of a collective body. Quote, the passion for equality is partly a passion for anonymity. To be one thread of the many which make up a tunic, one thread not distinguishable from others. No one can then point us out, measure us against others, and expose our inferiority. The exaltation of the true believer does not flow from reserves of strength and wisdom, but from a sense of deliverance. He has been delivered from the meaningless burdens of autonomous existence. I think my biggest takeaway and insight from this book about human nature revolves around the paradox of self-sacrifice. Quote, it is a perplexing and unpleasant truth that when men already have something worth fighting for, they do not feel like fighting. People who live full, worthwhile lives are not usually ready to die for their own interest, nor their country, nor for a holy cause. Craving, not having, is the mother of all reckless giving of oneself. I reread this book immediately after turning the last page, even though this review focuses mostly on mass movement as an escape from freedom. This book also covers the prerequisites for mass movements to happen, the key actors in a mass movement, the phases a mass movement goes through, and the groups in society which are most susceptible to the lure of mass movements. I can only describe this book as riveting, thought-provoking, and extremely relevant still, even though it's a bit old. I've added this book to my great books list. This is like a hall of fame, the best books that I've ever read, the most insightful books, the most life-changing books. I have a link to that full list in the description if you want to check it out. And I wanted to leave you with a few other books that touches a similar theme of mass movements, but maybe on adjacent topics. I want to show you 3 other books that you can read if you like this book, or if you found this topic interesting, then you should definitely check these out. Why, after finally attaining personal freedom after centuries of struggle, are humans so eagerly to give it up? Eric Fromm in this book tries to explain the rise of mass movements during the 19th century and explain the psychology behind why people want to give up their freedom. It's an excellent book. You should check it out. Gandhi was a mass movement leader, and I think one of the best ways to study fascinating people is by reading their own writings. And this is the autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi, the story of my experiments with the truth. And reading this gives a very intimate look into his life and his struggles, and I really recommend this one. The mass movements that were fueled by utopian ideologies, fascism, Nazism, communism, left a dark history in its wake. The grand narratives of religion is collapsing, but the search for meaning goes on, and in its place something else has emerged. A burning desire to right perceived wrongs have put identity politics, social justice and intersectionality on the top of the agenda. In this book, The Madness of Crowds, Douglas Murray takes on a discussion about the complex questions of wokeness that we so often see now in schools and in the workplace, and it's one of the most thought-provoking books that I've read in a long time. I'm not sure exactly how I linked this to mass movement, but this was a book that came up when I started to think about these topics. And I think that's it for me. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all of that. And I'm back next Thursday, because every Thursday I put out a new video. And also let me know any book about totalitarian ideologies that you think I should read, and that kind of mentality. Comment below. Let's talk about these books, and see you next week. Björn out.